It's St. Patrick's Day, a source of pride for 33 million Americans who declare themselves of Irish descent, among them the new U.S. President, Joe Biden, who's already warned the UK against tinkering with the Good Friday Agreements of 1998, the Good Friday Agreements which ended decades of sectarian bloodshed in Northern Ireland. He's been meeting in a virtual summit with Irish Prime Minister Michael Martin. For more, let's go speak to Barry Andrews, who hails from Martin's Fianna Fáil party, a member of the European Parliament. Thank you for speaking with us from Brussels.
Good evening, François. My pleasure.
So here we have it, COVID oblige. It's a virtual summit, but every year it's a big deal, right? The St. Patrick's Day, traditionally, the Irish Taoiseach is in Washington.
Yes, it's extraordinary, the scale of the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. It's not just a day; it's a month. In fact, almost every fire department, every police department will have a St. Patrick's Day dinner. I was a minister in the Irish government about 10 years ago and represented the Irish government in New York on the day of the parade, and it's extraordinary to see Fifth Avenue closed down as an exercise in soft diplomacy on behalf of Ireland every year. And I remember walking past the embassy of India and imagining, what they would do for the visibility that we get as a very small country from St. Patrick's Day all over the United States. So it's a really critical part of Ireland's relationship building with the US, and that bilateral relationship will sustain, I think, especially under the presidency of Joe Biden, who identifies very strongly with his Irish roots.
And he has come in as president just at the time when the European Union is feuding with Britain over the border in Northern Ireland. Under the trade deal, there should be new checks for goods and services crossing over. The UK has decided to waive them temporarily, saying it's because of COVID. The EU this week suing, taking Britain to court, and Joe Biden, his administration, saying that they may weigh in on this. Are you holding out hope that they will be the ones who convince or twist the arms, if you will, of the British?
Well, this isn't the first time that the UK have unilaterally decided to resile from an international agreement with the European Union in the last few months. The previous occasion was in September of last year when they proposed certain changes to the protocol in their internal markets bill. Now, again, the EU instituted infringement proceedings at that time, but there was also a lot of pressure from the United States. A lot of people in Congress made the point that if there is ever to be a UK-US trade deal, it would have to be approved at congressional level. And there is a strong Irish caucus within the US Congress. So that was even before Joe Biden became president. It was clear that the UK would have to sit up straight as far as the US's attitude towards the protocol was concerned. You see, the UK are co-guarantors of the Good Friday Agreement with the Irish government, and therefore they shouldn't take steps that jeopardize the Good Friday Agreement. But clearly, if they don't implement the protocol, this has the possible danger of reintroducing a border on the island of Ireland, and nobody really needs any further explanation to see how that might undermine what was achieved in the peace process over the last 20 years.
How do you feel about this personally, Barry? Is this just a bit of political grandstanding for Hawks, if you will, on within his own constituency for Boris Johnson? The naming of a hardline negotiator when it comes to Brexit, David Frost, and now the tussle we're describing over respecting that trade deal? Or is there something more serious here?
Well, I think there's a bit of both, actually, Francois. There's a little bit of red meat to his political base, a sort of permanent negotiation with the European Union, constantly blaming the European Union for the faults of the UK government. But there are also genuine issues that the UK government were trying to address by way of consensus with the EU, which are concerns in Northern Ireland about the way the protocol worked. It's very, very sensitive. And the critical change of Brexit has upset the delicate constitutional balance in Northern Ireland. It has upset the general constitutional architecture of Northern Ireland. And so I've been pressing the European Union to demonstrate some flexibility on these grace periods. So it was really a case of the British government doing something reasonable, but doing it in an unreasonable way by not making sure that that was done together with the European Union. There is, in the withdrawal agreement, a good faith obligation, and that means no surprises, effectively. However, this was sprung on the European Union, and I think really the Union had absolutely no choice but to initiate those infringement proceedings.
You get the sense that relations are going to go from bad to worse between the EU and the UK. What with the news today of this threat by the Commission President to stop exports of vaccines, saying the UK is not honouring its export commitments of AstraZeneca. What's your feeling right now?
Yes, the European, certainly, Ireland is on the periphery of all of this, and we are very anxious to make sure that we develop a partnership with the UK, not a rivalry. However, as I mentioned before, it seems to be the strategic objective of the British government to build as many barriers as possible with the European Union. And therefore, we're going to have these kinds of rows for as long as we don't build a relationship of partnership. This is just an example. The protocol issue is another example. A dispute about the status of the EU ambassador in London is another example. And, down the road, we have various other steps that have to be taken. We have to recognize data adequacy standards in the UK. We have to come up to some agreement on security and defence. We have to think about recognition of professional qualifications in the UK. So there is a whole minefield of booby traps waiting down the road if we don't reset the relationship between the EU and the UK. These are symptoms of a deeper problem. And I have to say, I feel that the root of the problem is the strong sovereigntist, nationalistic complexion of this Conservative government in London at the moment. And
do you support Ursula von der Leyen when the Commission President says she may stop exports of vaccine to the UK?
Well, I support open global trading, but the EU is guided by a principle that's called open strategic autonomy, and that means that we will be open where we can, but we will be defensive and autonomous where we must. And I don't agree with disrupting exports to places like Australia, but I have some sympathy for the situation with the UK because the UK are not reciprocating. So we can't be naive in the situation here, but this has to de-escalate really, really quickly because export vaccines are merely the tip of the iceberg. There are very complex supply chains and value chains across the globe that are contributing to making sure that our hospitals can keep working. This is the delivery of components for diagnostics, for ingredients, for medicines and pharmaceutical treatments for COVID. So once we start disrupting that very delicately created global supply chain, the consequences can be extremely negative. But I'm afraid the UK would need to show some degree of reciprocation in terms of vaccine because it's really upsetting for many, many EU citizens to see so many vaccines being exported to the UK when they're not reciprocating.
Traffic is up at ports that go from France directly to Ireland. Is that the alternative going forward?
Yes, it is. This time last year, there were 12 sailings per week directly from Ireland to France. Now there are 42 sailings per week. So up from 12 to 42 per week directly to France. And that isn't just a temporary thing. This is a substantial investment in infrastructure to make sure that Ireland can diversify, given the additional costs of exporting to the UK and obtaining import supplies from the UK. So I have to say that people are voting with their feet. But when we joined the European Union, or the EEC as it was in 1973, more than 70% of our exports went to the UK. Now, from time to time, that dips below 10%. So the EU and membership of the EU has given us that capacity to diversify. And I think Brexit, while negative in almost every aspect, will force the Irish economy to diversify even further. So it's a pattern and a route that we were on already. And I just think Brexit accelerates that.
Barry Andrews, Member of the European Parliament, many thanks for speaking with us. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you.
Thank you very much.
St. Patrick's Day, where we're seeing live images there of Joe Biden, the new U.S. president, speaking with the Irish Taoiseach, the Prime Minister, Michael Martin, who is conferring with him virtually this year with COVID. And there he is showing off his shamrock bowl.
Goes all the way back to Harry Truman.